Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995 Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And before I forget to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday, I'm doing it at the beginning of my show and I'll do it at the end too. So today we've got a great show. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of questions that Freddie has to ask me and Dawn, my two guests, Dawn and Freddie. Hi, and thank you very much for tuning in. As you know, as I get my questions, I kind of tune in myself. People have asked me, am I in a trance? Well, I am. At the moment, I'm not, so you can tell the difference probably. But as soon as I get a question, I go straight into some sort of trance. I don't do the jiggling, and people sometimes do that, but something just comes over me and my personality changes. So here we go.
Your personality changes?
Well, I've been told that. I've been told even that I even talk slightly differently, because people that know me, as you guys do too, notice a little change in my actual speech. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, you don't sound British.
But I'm already getting there right now, I think.
So what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, you're the gentleman with the questions for me. We've had some to call in and talked, and you've written them down. So,
well, there are people who have had incidences in their life, changes of path, changes of plan, and they don't know why these changes come about. I could give you an example about myself. So when I came down to, another package. When I came down to Florida, I was in the mortgage and real estate business.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I came down here thinking that I could manipulate it the way I did in New York. And that didn't happen. And I began to lose money that I had saved by doing things here in the mortgage industry. And then one day, I went to see my son, and he was playing a video game. And I asked him, what is that? And he says he was streaming with the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there is a divine intervention there that then led me to do this, what I'm doing here today, with you and Dawn and the kids and everything. But it was just an idea. It was an idea of putting together video sharing, streaming, and giving an idea of what somebody has and somebody else can give us. So that's what today's show is, and we ask people to give us that. So
and I love that, Freddie, the fact that you even shared that, because I believe very much, because I had a very similar thing that happened to me. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't have had all these things that I didn't even know were really happening until I became aware of them, that I could even do this. I mean, I sat here 3 years ago, and it was the first show that I'd actually done on the air. I had been giving workshops and I've been giving messages, but I didn't know that I could basically do what I'm doing today. And I was given many messages, as many people are, and I'm sure probably with some of the questions we're going to have something like that, because it does happen. I think we have a feeling inside us sometimes. I always wanted to be an actress, but it didn't materialize. But I think I was being led to doing something in front of other people. And it's only really over the last 15, 16 years that I know what that was, which is what I talk about today. And it's interesting, I actually met myself yesterday. I don't usually go for readings, but I was curious. I was at a psychic fair. And not the first thing, he mentioned some crazy things to me, but that were about me. But he also said that I had one last thing to do in this lifetime, and that was to be a teacher. And I kind of, now that I think about it, the show is a form of teaching, because I am teaching people how people go away with my messages, and then they can share and relate too. So I'm maybe pointing out a path for other people to take, because everything changed with me it's about 20 years ago now. I changed overnight completely. And as you said, you were led to something that you had no idea, and probably you too, Dawn. So the three of us also have had that experience. It's interesting.
Yeah, when you have no idea, you do have an idea.
You do,
but you don't know what that, you have this feeling.
That's right.
That something's different, that you're different, you can do things. It feels different when you walk in a room, but you don't know what it is. It's this unexplained feel.
But it's a feeling,
energy.
you can't deny that, right?
Right.
Yes.
It's an energy, and I think that's some of the questions that talk about is when you walk in and you feel energy in a room.
Right, exactly.
Or you don't feel it in the room, but when you get home, you feel a shift.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with that shift? How do you
But you know, if you
hone your
haven't
energies
opened up
back in?
to this, many people, this happens to a lot of people, they don't even realize it. They just know something. But I think when you start to go deeper into what's happening, then a lot of things sort of happen to you, which we've said many times, we think is coincidence. They're all around us. All this is around us. It's when we open up to know that there is more going on. Excuse my voice, I've just figured out what it is. Before I have start the show, I always eat some crackers. I wasn't like this on your show earlier.
No?
It's the crackers, so I won't do it again. Hopefully this is the last time my voice goes on my
no
show.
more crackers for you?
No more crackers.
Well, sometimes something happens in people's lives, and I think that what people are looking to ask you is whether or not this was a guided decision or was something that was just done because it was time, it was placed on there, like the story, you know, my story.
Yeah.
My story was I being guided to do this?
I think it's a little of both, Freddie. I think that it's in our, like, it's something that we've decided to do, but it takes a lot to wake up to that. So our guides that we have on the other side are aware of our path. However, and I've said this actually before, we have free will, so we carry on with what we think we want to do until we get to that point that we're now feeling that we want to do something else, but we're not sure. So we get that feeling. But I feel that I'm being told this too. They're aware of that. So they're not interfering with our journey, but they'll send forth certain things that will put us on our journey. That's a big difference. They're not interfering, but suddenly I found myself here. I didn't look up this studio. I didn't know you existed. However, it took one person, which I didn't follow that path, and then the second person I did. So I can say I missed 3 years that I should have been here earlier, but I don't think that matters. I think it's the fact that I ended up doing what I felt that I wanted to do. I didn't know that. So it was a little bit of both. They help us when we begin to wake up, I believe, to what we're meant to be doing, following our passion.
But my path to doing this, when I was doing this, was strictly to be on radio and to see if it would offer job opportunities, to create funds, to create monies, to have to make something out of nothing.
Right.
Now I look back at all the years that I've done this, all the lives that it has affected. Many of the people, and I look at it today, I look at their sites, I look at their businesses, growth, things that they do, all started when they came on the radio with me over the years. So my question is, was that a guide to find, was I guided to find what I do? Or was this something that I was guided to find to show what others do?
What I'm hearing is we all had a part in that because we've all shown up at your studio, the people, because you wouldn't know them otherwise.
Even you showed up.
I showed up, but I'm just one small part of that whole situation. I showed up and look what's happened to me. 3 years later, I'm still doing my show because I love it. But I'm not the only one that's come here that has done that. So I believe, as I'm hearing too, that we've all had this arrangement. Look how many people have come into this studio that I relate to, that you guys relate to, that I would never have met had I have not come in here. So I think individually we have our passion, but if you want to call it en masse, the people that are coming in here, I think we all had an agreement of some kind. I mean, it even happened the other day when we were outside of here, when you took your show on the road. The lady that I sat next to, I was like, I think you're telling my story with the art. So we are all connected, we just don't see that. But I think there are prominent characters, let's say, in our lives that show up when it's timing for us that we're all showing up to help guide and help each other, which you and Dawn have obviously done and have done to a lot of people that have shown up in here. It wasn't coincidence. I think it's synchronicity. And you know much more than I know of the people that have shown up here. But I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong because I don't know, but the 3 years that I've been here, and I'm not giving myself credit to that because we're all being helped, but have you had more people with the understanding of what we're talking about over the last 3 years than you had prior to the 3 years? Would you say more people, we'll call it spirituality or whatever we want to call it?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think so for sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a good example of how we attract when the timing is right. Now, that doesn't mean to say that had I have shown up 3 years prior to that it would have happened then. But maybe we had all arranged to meet within those last 3 years of when I first showed up. It's not me. I'm not saying, oh, I did this. Cumulatively, we've all done this.
So where does that arrangement come from? Is it a soul arrangement that we all came into this life knowing? Is it all of our angels guiding us to be a part of this now?
I believe with all my being that we have soul contracts and we know before we come in. They know, there's no timing, but they know certain parts of our lives that these things are going to happen. But when maybe we go, as I was saying, we go over our time because there's no time, it's all happening, then they can lead us because they already know the story. Let's call it a story, a journey. So they already know, so they lead us to that. And you know what's something that surprised me? I had my palms read and I've never had them read before. And what was happening, situations in my life today, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter what it was, but this guy who read my hand was telling me within 5 minutes my life story of what was going on, more primarily what was happening now. And it meant something very great to me because I thought everything is already there. He reads in my palm of my hand what's going on in my everyday life. I have never met this gentleman before, ever. In fact,
but then Sally, that's the question.
yeah.
So he was put in your path to read to you something of your past.
Right.
So is that the guides doing that, or is that us? I mean, that's the crux of the problem.
Yes, no, but that's a very good example of what we're doing because I wasn't aware of some of the things that he taught. It was only a 20-minute reading my palm, okay? But he told me things that I didn't know was going to happen, actually. But I truly felt very comfortable with him because before he did that, he was telling me what was happening in my life. Never said hello to this man, never spoken to him in my life. Well, maybe I did, and maybe he was part of my journey. There were many tables. It was a psychic exhibition, fair. And I was very drawn to, and he was booked. They were all booked every 20 minutes. But I went back and I said, no, I need to see him. Now, was I guided there by somebody? Because I said I was with my friend Mindy. I said, I think I need to go to this. There were many people, but I felt very drawn to go to him. So I'm now seeing that that was some type of arrangement that we had because he looked at me like we knew each other. We didn't, but maybe we did, and we'd discussed this before we arrived here.
What is that like for you when you walk into a psychic fair? Or psychic
Yeah.
show. You're a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
To walk in and think all of these people know, or do they, or don't they? Does it feel as if you're part of this collective?
Well, yes, because I was standing there waiting. In fact, I forgot to pay the man. I ran back when I realized, and he'd forgotten to ask me for the money. That's how deeply we were connected. But by saying that, when I was standing there waiting, because I didn't want to interfere with the next person, I thought I'd just let him see I had my credit card on me. A woman from, I believe she was the other side of the room, comes over to me and she starts talking to me. I don't know her. And she's having this conversation, very, very sweet. I ended up telling her to come here. She happened to live in Boca, to the Brooklyn Cafe. We connected within a minute. I'd never met her, but she obviously felt that she needed to come over to me as I needed to speak to her. And I had the time to speak to her because I was waiting for him so I could give him the credit card to pay for the reading. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spoken to her. So it's all connected.
I think you have an interesting story about how we ended up working together when I first met you. And apparently Dawn didn't get the memo because there wasn't anything that was telling her to do this, correct?
Correct.
So, again, I chased her to say, listen, we got to do this. We got to call it. Now, mind you, I've been doing this about 9 years in radio, or 8 years, something like that. No, it was less. It was 5 years because I knew I waited 4 years. It's 9. And then when I met her, I said, we have something we have to do. But don't ask me what it is. Now, people would think, anybody in their right mind would think I'm a nut. So that's probably why she stayed away. But you had an interesting outtake. When did you decide that maybe this was a calling? Or did you?
I think a lot of it was on timing, because when I met you, I was working for my dad, running his pediatric practice, and then I was doing this side, a holistic wellness coaching on the side. So when I met you, it was to buy radio time for this health business that I had on this side, not thinking anything any which way. And then you LinkedIn me or whatever you did for Chuck's phone number, which would make sense for you and your doctor. Second year, I don't think I ever noticed. Third year, by the fourth year, when I met somebody at a Christmas party that asked me to be on their show that knew you, then the pieces started to fall. Oh, well, I know him and I know Linda. And okay, it gave validation that I trusted you and I didn't think the whole thing was craziness.
But you thought it was crazy before.
But
I
it
never
works
even entered my
itself
mind
out.
as anything.
It works itself out, though. Even though it took 4 years, it took 3 years, and I'm sure other people that have come in here didn't come
Right.
on the first
The
time.
timing had to be right.
So, I mean, and that's really what we're saying. It's accumulation of a group coming together. That's why I asked about the 3 years of being here. The people that are now coming in may be slightly different to the 3 years before that. And I'm convinced that because maybe that was wrong timing for me to meet you guys. Just like you,
Right.
it was the wrong timing. But Dawn came when it was the right timing because
But
you're
you
still
see,
here.
I don't buy the timing thing. People always say to me, it's God's time, it's this time, it's that. If that were true, then I would never have met her. If that was true, I would never have met you. Something is guiding
Well,
the
you're right
universe
about the
to go
timing.
in that direction. It has nothing to do with timing.
No, you're right about saying that because actually there is no time on the other side. There is no such thing as time. Let's say the right situations that are going to arise. It's really not about timing. It's our way of explaining it when we're on earthly plane, not when we're up there. Timing is nothing. It's all happening. But I think let's call it like a jigsaw puzzle, every piece has to be in place. So if you haven't quite finished your journey doing something different, you need to finish whatever it is. I was in sales. If I'd had my choice and known what I'm doing here, I would have made a career of what I'm doing. I love it. But I didn't know that. So it took a lot of other things to be in the right part of the puzzle for it to all come together. And that's not just me, it's with you, with anybody that walks in here. I mean, if I go back to what's happened in here, there are many stories, even to 2 gentlemen that came in. I hadn't been here long and I went into the other room to say hello to them. I don't know who they are. And Steve happened to be there and came in. I don't know, I don't think they've ever been back here. But the conversation I had with them both, they were both professionals, but it turned to spirituality. And I was talking with such depth to these people. I think they'll show up somewhere again, probably in here. But I haven't heard or seen them ever again after 2.5 years ago. So using that just came into my mind as an example, but we all get that. So we're not ready sometimes, not timing, but perhaps my mind wasn't able to adjust to what I'm doing now because it took a lot 18 years ago when I suddenly changed. But I'm not unique. It happens to all of us. However, I opened up to it because it was just unbelievable what was happening to me. And I'd always been psychic, but I didn't even really know what that meant. I just knew I could see things. But especially as a child, you believe everybody can do that, which they can, but they don't know that. And I'm a good example. So each one of us, you meeting Dawn meeting you, yes, but the proof of what was right has happened because look what you've both done here. You were meant to be together to do that.
Well, you know, it's funny because people tell me about timing. They tell me there's the right time, the wrong time, and then there's the due time. The funny thing about all of these times is that I think we take logical thinking and we try to place it in an illogical world. You know, the absolute truth, because you're doing something, to stop doing that something,
Right.
to do something else is very scary. And you don't know whether it's going to work, not work. You want guarantees. You want to make sure that, because we hate to admit that we've done something wrong. We hate to admit that we did not follow our intuition because we're afraid to fail. So I'll give you that much. But for people that have an opportunity, now you can stay with what you're doing. But again, I'm going to ask you the question again.
Okay.
Is it our guides that are telling you in your ear, do this? Or is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it somebody teaching you this?
Our ego, I'm going to hear the word ego, okay? And that will get in the way, because if you're going to do something different, you don't know what you're going to do until you start it or how you're going to react to it. I reacted in a positive way. Even when I was in sales, I reacted in a positive way. There was something else for me other than that. But if you don't make that, let's call it a leap in faith in yourself, you will miss that opportunity. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It's there. But it's still up to us to make that decision, because we're on earth right now. We have an ego. But if you can overcome that, there may be many reasons. Perhaps I thought I could never talk like I do on the air. I'm using me because I know what's happened to me, but other people might be I didn't know I could sell. And I sold in one place for maybe over 20 years, and I did very well there. I didn't know I was going to do that. It was the last thing in my mind to become a salesperson, but I did very well at that. So I did it. We all have the opportunity presents itself to everybody somewhere because it's our passion. It's up to us. If we feel it, we really feel it, and feel that we should do something, and I can't tell everybody, go ahead and do it. It's up to them to say that. But I think we offer ourselves, since we're already here, to give a shot at something that we feel that we want to do. Art, I didn't know I could paint. It took another being from somewhere else, and also Aldo, to say, open up, do it, you can paint. I went all my life without ever painting, and suddenly I'm painting 150 paintings, sketches and paintings.
It is the leap of faith that you have to take. I told you that when I first...
Yeah.
That first incident we had with you and your partner at our old studio. And I thought, well, I don't know either one of these men. And there has to be, I have to make a choice of where I go. And I finally heard, after that leap of faith, someone say, trust in you. Just take that leap and trust Freddie. So I did, and I think I told you that. I'd known you, for a month? Maybe not even that long. Once I took the leap of faith, and I listened. I guess I had never listened to the guides, I was never aware that I had listened. Maybe that had guided me all along, but you failed its intuition until I actually heard it.
And that's a perfect story of how this works. But sometimes, people say, I was very impulsive. I know that, and I did things. And sometimes through impulse, it may not always be the right thing. So people become impulsive. I believe that it's I think, oh my gosh, should I? If you question it, it depends how you question it. It's for us to figure that out, truthfully. We get the opportunities, good and bad, because we learn from doing something that is destructive. Many people do that in their lives. It's up to us to figure that out. But we do get help. I guess the answer to this message is we really do get help. It's up to us and our initiative to make that first move. A leap in faith, maybe it isn't the right thing. But if it's not the right thing, and I'm absolutely certain of this, well, I can't be certain, but I think it's happened with me, is that if I do something and I'm on the wrong path, a lot of things will go wrong with that. You'll say, oh, why did that happen today? Or why did that? I think that's the time maybe to question yourself. Say, am I on the right path? People say, am I on the right path? That's an expression people use. When you feel that everything is going right and it's sort of coming together, you say, I think I'm on my path. It's simple. It's really simple. We just don't take the time
Well,
to
can
think
your
about it.
guides put you in the wrong path?
No, we put ourselves in the wrong path because they can't interfere. We have free will, but they're helping us. They help us in different ways. Maybe I'm getting lost when I first came here. It's just an example. It didn't happen. I don't know how to come to the studio. I go down a wrong road. They can lead me back. Maybe there's a U-turn that it says U-turn. I will get back. That's an example. It didn't happen onto my path. And that happens all the time with us. My voice is going
But
again.
like when I met you, who knew 4 years later I'd meet this woman at this random party that I should have never been at this party? How I even met this random woman was even crazier. And that she was working with you was just another alignment of validation. But at the time I was so new to all of this, it was 10 years ago.
So and then the question is your definition of what they're giving you. It has nothing to do with timing.
But then I realized I had been my soul had been seeking this all along.
That's right.
But at the time, it just feels like an emptiness or an empty piece.
Because we haven't come accustomed to, it's only when you start to do it at that point that you realize you're in the right place. Oh my gosh, no crackers for me. I would be fine all day. Then we follow our path, but even then we get little things along the way on even when we're doing our right path to question,
But these are things that we're doing.
Yes.
So if a guy tells you go through that door and you do 15,000 things to avoid going through that door, that's you doing it, not the guy.
That's because we all have free choice.
Because we have free will. And our ego interferes with that. They're going, I don't want to go through that door. What the heck is that going to mean to me? So if we can put that aside a little bit, I mean, just follow your gut. I think that's the answer. If you feel you're doing something the right thing, you probably are. Not always.
Sally, did you know that you just said one of the most powerful things in the world?
No.
It is your choice, your giving choice, to pick what your guides are telling you to do.
That's right.
So if you choose not to do it, that's on you.
It absolutely.
So the
100%.
me oh my's that come after that, yada, 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 good, bad, or indifferent. And the funny thing is that when you go through that door, there are other decisions that have to be made.
That's right.
Nothing is a guarantee.
That's right. But that's what we've chosen to do on our journey here. That's what our journey is all about. That's one of the reasons we're here. We make mistakes along the way, but it's still up to us. We make all the decisions, even when we're on the other side of this. We make the decisions. It goes as far, even further than that, because we plan our life. We plan our parents. We plan whatever people we meet. Our guides are guiding us as we choose our journey, because they're with us. They've chosen to be with us on this journey. And on the other side, and this is what they've told me, and I've heard other people say this too, they say, don't do that. It's going to be too difficult for you. They say that on your journey. We come in and we still do it, but they're there to guide us. They can show us, but we make the final decision all the time.
It's funny, today we opened up the studio and a lot of the kids came in later. And Dawn and I sat in here and I said, sometimes you got to learn to sit and wait, and you got to see what develops.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the outcome is in front of you, just a path towards the outcome.
Right.
So I love it when people tell me it wasn't time, it wasn't this. You're the one creating the time. You're the one that has the choice of whether or not you want to create it. You're the one that's being shown the path. If you pick it, you pick it. But there's a choice of not picking it as well.
Absolutely.
But whatever you decide to do, have faith in what you are picking.
100%.
Therein lies the lesson.
That's what we're talking. That's exactly summed up this part of the show. Exactly what we're saying. And the more, but we can even verbalize this and still don't do it. So people, then I can say to myself, well, I knew better. I did know better, but I chose to go another way. Maybe there was a lesson going the other way. Can't think of anything right now I'm thinking about, but maybe I chose to go the other way. It doesn't mean that I wasn't meant to, but I was meant to learn by something from what I did.
That's true.
I mean, you're not aware, but if you're in some situation suddenly and say, why in the world did I do that?
Why didn't I do this instead of that?
Exactly. but you can still do the this part, but you've gone through your lesson of the that part, if you want to say. So you've seen that.
It gets tricky. It's not as easy as it sounds.
It's not easy at all. And I've heard, I know we're breaking in a second and coming back in a few minutes, but it's not easy, but we choose to do that. The more lifetimes, I'm learning this too, the harder our journey is here, because we want to finalize this eventually. We come back many times. Okay, so I think it's time for a commercial break, and I'll see you guys on the other side of this show. I love saying that.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com, or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. In case it came on. Hi, here we are back again with my 2 favorite people, Dawn and Freddie, and the questions.
I think it's time to open up to some questions. Anyone else who has questions, you can give us a call right here at the studio at 888-994-4995, Studio A, or write in on social media, Facebook, on YouTube. Ask Sally the questions. See what
Also,
you got.
how to get Sally's book, because there was a waitress at Mamma Mia's that asked about your book.
Okay.
How do you get that?
Well, just go onto Amazon and punch in Sally Barnard, Call Me Zena, and my book is right there. And as I say, you can also get the ebook and call in with the questions. It's also with Author House, who was my publisher. You can buy it on their site too, authorhouse.com and Amazon.
And you too could get your own Aldo. And for those of you that asked me on Saturday, who's Aldo? What the hell is that all about? Because they're completely...
Do you think everyone has their Aldo?
Of course.
I do, but I was lucky enough for him to be in physicality.
That's my question.
Yes.
Everybody has an Aldo, but not everybody's lucky enough to meet him.
I had an agreement with him because he knew my previous lifetimes. And he did not, when he met me, he didn't push himself upon me to say, I've been looking for you. It was only when I opened up myself and when I had my first astral projection and I was given all these messages, did he show the next day. He had been working with me for 1 year and never approached me till I was ready. I didn't know what I would have been. If he'd said, you're going to have something or you're ready, I wouldn't have known what he was talking about. I had to have an experience to me that was, I left my body. I didn't know what that was. That's when he knew that I had experienced something greater than something here that had happened because I couldn't explain it. My teacher showed up. And that's not just me. That happens with well, no, I can't say everyone because it may not be your time, but it can happen.
Everyone can have their own walking.
That's right.
In physicality Aldo.
Yes.
You got to know
absolutely.
what you're looking for. You got to run into that.
Well, I didn't know Freddie. I didn't know all
He
this.
ran into you.
He looked for me. He knew because he was so advanced. I'm not going to say superior, but he knew where I was working. He took a job in the same place as me, but did not offer his advice to me until I was ready to take it. There were many people where I was selling. He was in the same building, in the same rooms as me.
Yeah, but you could have said no.
Well, I couldn't,
You could have
I
walked
could
away.
have done, but I had experienced something out of this world because I'm flying and I'm seeing places and I'm giving messages. When he said, I know where you were last night, and he proceeded to tell me where I was, he gave me my whole dream. How in the world could anybody have said, I said what's going on, but it woke me up a little bit.
See, but you ran into it and it materialized in front of you. But there are a lot of people who do this and they ignore it. They walk by it. And guys are not going to leave you. They're going to continue.
Well, if you're ready, they would. If I had not responded, Alda could have walked away. But I was it was only going to talk about myself. I was stubborn because it took something literally out of this world for him to be able to open up to me. It wouldn't have meant the same if he'd come up to me and said, oh, this is going to happen and this is what you know. I'd have thought maybe this guy is crazy.
It's funny because a lot of people around you now think you're crazy.
But that's okay.
You think they do?
I don't mind.
Of course. But the reason they do that is so now you know how he must have felt when you thought he was crazy.
Well, I never thought he was crazy because he was making sense. He told me my dream. He told me things, about me that he would not have necessarily known. He didn't inundate me with all this stuff. He used to say little by little.
He taught you.
He taught me, yeah. Who said I'm crazy?
Lots of people.
They do? Well, that's all right.
But that's okay because if they call you crazy, it means that they're listening.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What was the name of the guy from the rock band that I saw on the airplane? He says if they sing your songs to...
Freddie Mercury?
Freddie Mercury says if they sing the words to your song, you're a somebody.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, that's probably one of the heaviest statements I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, because if I had not known what was going to happen to me and I heard somebody maybe talk, I've always believed there's more. I think more and more people today are definitely accepting of that. I mean, when I first came out with this 18 years ago and I'm writing a book on planets and visiting planets, I can totally understand that people would think this was off the wall. However, today, even CNN had on their show that they have spotted many things and that the government has been keeping this a secret for 18 years. Now, my book is about that. So people are not going to say necessarily, this is crazy, this is out of the world, because so many other people are talking about it. Times have changed. We're waking up more. So not just me, many people are coming forward where they were scared to come forward before. I did also 18, 20 years ago, I thought my book is about planets. They're going to think I'm nuts, and probably did. But there were people also that took it in and said, you know what, this could be possible. Over the 18 years, the change in people now today, we are not alone. Headlines that I have a picture on CNN, we're questioning, we are not alone. We're not alone. Nobody perhaps at that time, 18 years ago, would have thought that. Many people today now are accepting it, but it's gradual. You can't suddenly say they're giving disclosure. This is another subject, but it's important. Gradually they're saying, well, we've seen this, we've spotted something in the sky. And credible people from the governments, from everywhere, are coming forward, majors or whatever they are in the army.
But that's not even a physical Aldo. That's
something
else,
yes,
a whole nother conversation.
Yes, that's what I said. It's not necessarily what the show is about, but what we're doing is we're opening up more. And it actually does bring in Aldo or someone like Aldo, because if you can't get this if you don't open up. Sure. So opening up is just not that. It's believing we're not alone. It's believing that, in synchronicities. Then the teacher shows up. I mean, that's an expression many people have said over the years. When you're ready, the teacher appears. I didn't know I was ready, but he did, because what happened?
Well, he made you ready.
No, he didn't. He knew I was going to be ready, but he couldn't tell me when, because I wouldn't have believed it, Freddie. And that's a very good example for people. I did not know what astral projection was, that you could fly around, you could fly to other planets somewhere. I would have thought they were crazy. So had he have come up to me and knew me but didn't speak to me, you're going to have an out-of-body experience, you're going to fly to other planets, you're going to be abducted, what would I have done? I would have walked right away and said, don't go near this guy, he's nuts. But when I had that experience, and that's exactly what happened to me, he said hello to me and told me what I had just, quote, dreamt. So you have to be ready, otherwise you're not going to believe it.
Did you ever ask him how he knew you were ready that
Yeah,
night?
many times. He knew because he was with me. How would he be able to tell me every aspect of what I had happened to me that night?
So he must have been with you in the dream.
He
as
was,
right,
yes,
soul
because he
connection?
can astral project. He could find me in this wherever I was. He found me when I was in hospital. I didn't tell him, but he also knew where I was, let's quote, when I was asleep. He was right there. I didn't know him and may have seen him, but not know who he was. So he would never have approached me at that time had I have not been ready for that to happen. I mean, a lot happened to me after that, but I wasn't scared. Fear can take that away. So, yeah, there are many things we don't know in this world, and it goes on and on. That was just one particular thing. We're not ready, we're getting ready for disclosure because everyone is talking about it. But there are other things other than just there are other beings here.
All right, you have some questions for Sally?
Yeah.
I know,
Well,
before we run out of
right,
time.
right.
Well, we could talk about the essence of what's going on, just us.
Yeah.
All right, Emily Wilson from California. This is an incident. She wants to know whether or not you can answer what happened to her. I quit my job to travel the world without a plan. Now, normally when you're going to travel the world, you better have a plan. Because how the hell do you get out of the starting gates if you don't have a plan? Then she wants to know, was this a guided decision or was this me just wanting?
I love that
try.
question because I did something very similar in my life. I left London, came over here with no plan.
With no plan.
No plan, no money, and my kids weren't with me because they were actually, my ex-husband had them and didn't know where they
Just
were.
got on a plane.
So I got on a plane with very little money, not even knowing where I was going to go.
When did you realize you didn't have a plan?
When I started figuring it out, I had no money to pay for anything.
So you landed at the airport.
I landed at the that's another very long story, but along the way I was guided very much with that too, and it worked out obviously. But so going back to her story, I did something very similar. I came with the one reason that I wanted to find my children. I did not know where they were, and it took me, I had to get on a plane, not even in the same state. I arrived here, I didn't know where my children were, so I found them eventually.
A lot of people travel the world to try to find themselves.
Well, there's also that too, but it's going back to her question, that if you make up your mind you want to do something, yeah, I always had exactly what I needed. I never had more, I never had less. But that took, now would I have done that today? No, I was young and I was looking for my kids. But in that situation too, if she has the drive, I always wanted to come to America. That's also something. When I was in school, I always wanted to get friendly. If someone was American, I would always get friendly with that person. So I had that drive to come to this country. She had the drive to travel the world. Maybe she's finding a specific destination that she needs to go to, something that she'll find out when she's there.
Is that her guides leading her to
Well,
this?
it's her listening to her guides, although she may not be aware of it because they cannot interfere. But she gets this strong feeling, as anybody does over something, and they follow their gut. They're getting guided, but they can't tell you. It's up to us to decide what we're going to do about it. It's interesting, actually. It's an interesting subject.
It's interesting when you see how it ends up, one way or the other.
Well, it can be good or bad. I had no idea what was going to happen to me. If you'd told me all those years ago that I'd be sitting here, I'd say, no, that's crazy.
She would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same
But I'm in a country, luckily I spoke the language because there was nothing else in this country
thing
that
she
I
came
knew
from
about.
England.
And the
Spoke
funny
language.
thing is that I saw it. I know I'm here and I expected to be here. It
Well-
doesn't surprise me.
No, because we're really, if you think about it, and things that happen or a deja vu, we've planned what we're going to do. So even I've gone into deja vus sometimes and even know the next word that I'm going to say. So, and yesterday was a very good example of someone reading my palm, because you can have a psychic, but he showed me my lifeline. He showed me, I didn't know, I've never gone into something like that. But he was so accurate from someone that he's never met. Obviously he was psychic too, because that's how you can read probably some of the things. So destiny, we're meant to do these things. And when we're on our journey and we're doing the right things, we feel good about it.
But you have to be ready. I went to one of those when I was
You
a
do.
child, and the
Yeah.
psychic told me who I was, and I ran out crying because how could you tell a child that they were not from this planet? They were from the
That's scary.
star, and they were here to impart a message. And in physicality, my parents had borrowed me. Imagine telling a child that. But now that I know,
I was
they
going
were
to
right.
say
But
they were wrong and right by telling you. I wouldn't say you should say that to a child, but as you've grown and you can kind of analyze it yourself a little bit. By the way, they were 100% accurate.
if I tell a 12 or 10-year-old this,
They were accurate.
that
and they were,
your parents aren't your parents, you go out crying.
but then, somewhere along the line, Dawn, and that's a good example too, you chose for that to happen, that you needed to know that. It wasn't quite timing because you were too young, but sooner or later someone would have shown you the way on that. That's amazing. I love that story.
Who took you to see that person?
My mom.
Well, okay, then
We went
she
to a
was
psychic
the one.
fair, right?
She knew. I think your mother knows this, but didn't know. I could be wrong here, but didn't know quite how to tell you that. So her choice, whether she knew it or not, was for somebody else to tell you that. Now everybody
How
now
old
that's
were you?
listening going to think,
10, 12, not older than that.
see, I'm not the only one. What are they now going to say about Dawn? Crazy. No, it's very true. But that's
He's
how
got
we
more
open
to
up-
say, but look, he's
we
biting his
open
tongue.
people's minds up that way, Dawn, by being honest about what we feel. If we kept quiet, there may be 10 people listening to the show that can relate to something that you've said or I've said. The idea is not to keep quiet about it. It doesn't really matter what other people think because you're getting the message through to someone that needs to hear that. And that's so important. And because of that, many people don't say what's happening. Luckily enough today, people are coming forward, as Dawn just said that, as you have, as I had. It may not help 100 people. Say there's 200 watching or 150. Even if it helps 2 people, we've done our job. Absolutely done our job. If we offend people, that's okay too. I couldn't care less.
Even if there's nobody, you can't force people to see what it is you're trying to tell them.
But you know what? By opening up, this show's helped me tremendously. If it's all about us, and it sounds selfish, but we are all one. If we do not take care of ourselves, you can't possibly tell or speak or take care of someone else because you don't know how. If you get to know yourself first, and that's so important, then you can make decisions that follow that path. And if it doesn't follow your path, then you have to say, I'm on the wrong track because you're doing yourself a disservice. Does that make sense? That's a guide. I haven't heard from him in a while. He'd always say, does that make sense?
Yeah, we haven't heard him
Yeah.
from him.
No, I haven't. Yeah.
You have more?
David Lee, again from New York City, writes, I met someone and felt an intense connection. Did the universe bring us together? Now that question has a second part because you are entering your 3rd year anniversary to your marriage.
Right.
So I'm going to ask for David. He met somebody, felt an intense connection. For him, let's start with that one. Do you think that was the universe or David?
Well, it's the universe, and yes, it's because he met somebody, and I'm sorry because you brought.
He met someone who felt an intense connection.
Yeah, I wanted to answer that right. The intense connection is because you've made a plan in your journey to meet that person. That's a synchronicity because you've connected, and if it's strong, it shows you how deep that connection was. Negative or positive, we don't know. We only know by meeting that person what it's going to be. But there was a reason for that because. And again, you can, which we've said very often, you can meet someone and, kind of to yourself, stay away from me. So it works both ways. But even if that person was to stay away from, and I'm not saying that it was a deeper connection, there's still a reason for meeting that person.
That's what they were asking. Was it the universe that brought them together or was the guides?
It was both. You
Or
had
is
to
that
be,
one and the same?
Exactly.
Or is it one and the same?
Well, the universe, our guides are guiding us. The universe, I've got a perfect answer for this, is how we play it out because we're here on Earth. So The guides are helping us maybe be at a certain place, but it's still up to us to have that feeling that we should go to that particular place. Now we're part of a play, because that's what we're doing. We just have different characters in that play. So let's say you're on a stage and you're being directed. You're being directed as a play to be there. Now, how that turns out, once again, of what you said to me, is entirely up to us. That may have a different way for that other person to turn that into a completely different situation. So the only way we know, the one thing we know, is we were meant to meet each other, because we wouldn't have met each other otherwise. That's what I feel.
So there's always a reason.
There's always a reason.
So you got married for the reason.
There's always a reason. I mean, you can question those reasons, and you can see what, but I don't believe anything that we do is by accident. It's up to us how it turns out, or what the reasons are. It could be karma from other lifetimes. We can see someone and not like them, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk to them.
So that's my other question. You can feel something towards another person, but it's not necessarily your soul likes them.
At 100%
And you can't
accurate.
explain it. Or there can be someone here and you say they're very lovely, and he says they're great, and I go, they're fine. But something about the two connections doesn't work.
But the connection was correct. You were meant to meet that person. Again, it's what we feel after that. There's a purpose. Someone went as far, and I heard someone say this a little while, everybody that comes into your life, there's a purpose and a reason. It could just be for a minute, but it's not accidental. You might say, well, that person just touched me, on the street. That's not accident. We are connected. Every one of us is connected. So there's a reason, but it doesn't always have to be the right reasons that we think are right. It can be for negativity, to overcome something, to overcome karma, to overcome a fear of something. We may have a fear of something, and that person may have that fear that we're fearful of. It could be anything. But if you don't meet maybe that person, you can work that out. You don't have to be with that person. You can meet them for a minute. But it could. I have a fear of snakes. Maybe a snake will show up. I'll scream. But I was meant to see that I need to walk away very fast because I have this fear. But we take it how we're handling that situation.
Everything has a reason? Like
Yes.
even if you saw a rodent or something you don't like,
Yes.
there's a reason
Yes,
for that.
I actually can tell you this. I don't like bugs or anything, but a bug is alive. And I saw something, I think the other day, one of those little salamanders that don't bother me, but it was a tiny baby, and it was going into my bathroom. And I said, please don't go in there, because you're going to drown yourself. So I was becoming aware that this is a living something. I couldn't let that drown. I don't mind. If it had been something, maybe a roach, I might not have done it, but I got a little Kleenex, and I got it off the bathroom on the toilet seat, and I put it on the floor. I said, now you can walk.
All right, so everything has a reason. You have another question?
Everything has a reason, of course. Ava from Texas writes, I switched careers and found my true passion. Was this change guided by a higher power, or was it me being miserable at the original career, looking for a new career, and then running into passion?
The fact that she was miserable, and she acknowledges that, led her to find something else. So obviously it was divine intervention, or however you want to call it, because she's found her passion. That was a great question with a very answer that was really very obvious, but if you're not open to it, it's not going to become obvious. If you're unhappy with anything in life, there's something else out there. Following your passion, a person, a place, a thing, it doesn't matter. If you don't make that move, stay in your unhappiness, because you're missing out with something. There's always something around the corner. I'm not going to say better, but there's something different that is following your passion. And once you follow your passion, you're going to be on the right track, because everything falls into place. But you've got to have the negative to know to make that move. That's the lesson on that. Negativity can come positivity. But if you don't have the negativity or think it through and just stay in a situation over and over again, you're missing out. You're missing out.
Interesting.
Thank you.
I do. I think that you have to be at a negative point in your life to make that change. Or you stay complacent with where you are because you're comfortable.
And then more fool you. Because if you do that, I'm not saying that facetiously, but if you continue staying in a situation that you're just uncomfortable, unhappy, or it's not, you're missing the opportunity to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And you could say, oh my God, I was so negative. Look at me now. Because you will get that. Everybody will get that feeling through the negativity that they're getting. We're guided through that, through our feelings. And then you suddenly say, oh my God, do you mean I did that all those years and I could have done that? How many people say that too?
Or maybe you were planning to formulate the next move.
Yes, but to make that move, you're going through, I believe you go through a lot of negativity to push you to that next move. Otherwise you just stay put. Like
Yes.
this question with this lady, it was, Eva, is where you are staying, but there was something else, so she followed her passion. That's a very good example.
So if Ava cries herself to sleep every night because she's miserable, should she seek a change or wait until the guides tell her to change?
The guides will follow you wherever you go.
Where did the tears come from?
Because she was miserable and unhappy in the situation, so she
Who's
just...
telling her she's miserable? Her
She
brain?
is, her brain, her ego is, I'm going to call it ego, because your ego's trying to give you a message. If you cry to sleep, yourself to sleep every night, you're not happy, right? So that's a physical thing that's happening to let her know that, my goodness, you could be happy. Change it. You're going to be happy. She did. She followed her passion. She changed it. But if you're like this and you're not sure, take notice of who comes into your life, because they can guide someone to come into your life, but they can't make you. We only have the power to make ourselves do something. Nobody else can do that.
So nobody else can make you feel.
Well, they can guide us. That's all they can do. They can guide us.
What about humans? Can humans make us feel inadequate?
Of course, 100%. Because if you're inadequate, it's usually we mirror image ourselves onto people too. So if someone is feeling inadequate, they're going to portray themselves that because it's comfortability here. This is a whole
wait a
different-
minute. Then I have a question, because now
This
you
is a
just
different
opened up
sub-
Pandora's
Yeah, I was
box.
just going to say maybe we'll do that next week. But I'm right there with the right person to tell me
But
this.
then why do they listen to the negative? But if you spend all day telling them positives about you, they don't listen to that.
Perfect. They're not listening, because you're actually, what they're telling you, and this is not a psychiatrist show, but what they're telling you, they're mirror imaging their thoughts and their feelings, and they're making you believe that. So if you understand this a little bit, and someone continually puts somebody down, they're the ones that are insecure.
Can I hear your guides and tell you what they're telling me to tell you?
Yeah, if you're listening to me and I'm hearing them, yes, because they're all sitting around like we're sitting here.
So, well, no, but the question is, would you listen? If I told you do this,
Okay.
because I see you guys are saying this, would you do it?
Would I do, if you told me to do something, would I do
Yeah.
it? Depending on our relationship here. I trust what you would tell me to do, Freddie, and I'm saying that out loud because I believe you're leading me somewhere along the right lines. You wouldn't tell me, go over there. Or,
But when you tell me my situation, I follow it.
you're following, yes, if I'm not getting the question completely right.
If I tell you, your guys are telling me something.
My guys
You
will
came
help
in here
you.
one day and you told me my mother was talking to you.
Oh yeah, no, they talk, of course. How would I get messages for other people?
Then I listen to her. I listen to
Absolute-
you.
Absolutely, because
But if
I'm
I
talk-
told you the same thing, you wouldn't
No,
necessarily
I would,
do it.
because I believe you're psychic. So you're listening not just to me, you're telling me what I meant that I have
would.
ignored or
we had a
or dawned.
conversation about a year
Of
ago.
course.
I had a message for Sally, and out of the blue,
No, she'll listen to
and
you.
it made no sense. And then she started doing some of
No,
that
she'll
process.
listen to you.
I
But I
listen
want to know, how do we select who we are listening to?
because it's a feeling of trust. If you don't trust somebody, and I think that's put there for a reason, you don't necessarily. If you don't trust someone, are you going to believe what they say to you?
Right.
If you trust someone, even if we're wrong with that feeling, but trust is a whole new story here. If you trust someone, hopefully they don't let you they can have a wrong message or something, but you trust enough and they know that to guide you somewhere. Our guides are here too. If I hadn't trusted Aldo, I wouldn't have learned what I've
I
learned.
think we should have like 20 people come in here, and I want to see what she does with 20 people sitting around.
I would
Got
love
about a
that.
minute, Sally. Got a minute.
Oh, okay, I see it on the screen. Okay, guys, well, actually, can you close it because I'm still kind of there?
Yeah, so Sally wants to wish everybody a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving with your friends and family, and you can join her again next Monday, 2:30 p.m. at Aunt Meaty Studios. And if you have any questions, you can contact us right here, 888-994-4995, Studio A. Like and subscribe to Sally's channel. You can find her on YouTube as well as social media.
And for those of you that want to find your Aldo, come on in and let her show you the way.
You have been watching Call Me Zena
You know,
with your
that is
host,
so-
Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.